I'm Beverly, and I'm on the witness stand. Hello, everybody from the highway as I travel again. I don't know where I'm at, somewhere in the mountains of North Carolina. Well, bless their hearts, prosecution just keeps handing the defense gift-wrapped openings like it's Christmas in Canton. Now, y'all, let me tell you what does not make a lick of sense. Why on this green earth would the prosecution not call Trooper Proctor? I know that he was a hot mess and did nothing for them in the first trial. But you know what's going to happen? The defense is going to call him, and instead of just going straight into this and head on, just put it out there. And I know he's a terrible prosecution witness, but go ahead and admit it. It looks like when the defense brings him in, that the prosecution was hiding stuff. So, not good. Proctor is up to his neck in drama, text. We know about those texts. Sketchy behavior. You know, honey, the defense is just sitting there waiting to pop him in as their big reveal, and that ain't strategy for the prosecution. That is straight up surrender. So let's just recap for the Thursday and Friday of this week. All right. So as I said the last time that we did our video, I said the prosecution, rumor had it that they were going to arrest it. By God, they did. The Holy Frog Legs was that about. I can't believe that they rested their case. But I'll tell you what they did rest on, and that was, I have to say, that was a pretty good move. But the first case, or the first trial, they called over 70 witnesses. Do you know what they did this time? They called less than 40. So it was strategic, but I don't think it was a good one. So how they ended this prosecution case was they played a piece of that video in the documentary. And you know, people are saying, will she testify? Will she get up? Well, she already did. She doesn't need to get up and say anything. Everything's been said in that documentary, and I promise you it isn't the last time it'll be brought up. I hope this thing isn't wiggling, but it's the best I can do while we're in a car. But, okay, so I'm just going to tell you, I'm not going to give you the gist of their closing, their closing piece. I'm just going to read it verbatim, what she said in that video, okay? And this was the last thing the prosecution did, and then they said they rest their case. All right, she said, and I quote, "What if I ran his foot over? Or what if I clipped him in the knee and he passed out, or went to care for himself and he just threw up and passed out?" I thought that was a nice piece to end on. But, you know, the prosecution's saying it was an admission of guilt. I'm done with this, okay? I just don't want to hear this crap anymore. Boring. So then the defense, this is what I've been waiting for. The defense gets up. First thing they do is bring in a counterpoint to the data of all of that mess that the prosecution brought out. And you know what I did? Turned it off. I can't deal with that. I'd periodically go in, and that guy is just disputing the evidence and bringing his own in. And I think we already know. I think we already know what it is. It's just different from the other one. So I'm going to go cross mark, not worry about that. Let's get on to the he said, she said, who's a liar and who's not. That's what I want to hear. So defense, they're going to do a much more extensive case than they did in the first trial, which isn't that interesting that the prosecution did less, but the defense is going to do more. Anyway, I'm going to go back to the fact that Karen Reed, the testimony, do you know what I did? I hit the button and I lost it, and I'm going to guarantee you. So, Control-Shift-T.
So just turn on your mobile hotspot.
Let me see
if you have service.
Okay, here, I've got it now.
Okay.
Well, that's going to be a lot to pull out. I don't want to say, when we talk about Karen Reed testifying, and I said she doesn't need to, I don't understand the documentary part. If I was her attorney, I wouldn't let anything be published until, you know, they got a verdict, because, I mean, they did this all the way through her first trial. Man, you don't do that. Even Barney Fife knows you don't put that stuff out for the world to hear. And even if they were doing it so that they published it after the trials, they got a hung jury. So still don't publish it. Just wait until everything's done. Then you can just add to and update, just like we're doing right now. So I have to say this. That was pretty much the Camry thing. But I got to talk about a couple of more things. I would be remiss if I didn't. Let's go to itty bitty little Diddy. Let's do that. So if you've been under a rock and you don't know this, just to say he's been charged racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. But again, we don't know what the defense case is going to be. But what looks pretty evident is that he brought in gentlemen and ladies of the night to across lines to do these freak-offs. So that right there is, unless something the defense can come up with says that isn't it, he's done for that one. Racketeering, I think right now they've got that. Sex trafficking, I almost know that. But there is talk about him getting out. We'll talk about that in a minute. So what was the highlight this week, or the last 2 days specifically, was Mia. Now, Mia is not her real name. She is an ex-personal assistant of Diddy, but she has testified that she was his former assistant from 2009 to 2017. I think that's important. But she said that there were multiple instances of sexual and physical abuse by Combs during her employment. And there was a lot of stuff that people were saying about, okay, that's a long time to be working with him, and she left and came back. But I'm going to say, just like with Cassie, this just reminds me so much of battered women syndrome. They come back, and we have to remember he's got videos of Cassie and Mia and probably everybody that's worked with him. He's got videos of them that they don't want to get out, so they feel like they have to come back, and they either work with him or he's going to release those. He has crap on everybody. So Mia and Cassie have said that they haven't called the police on stuff because the police were in his pocket. And even the judge, Shannon, my daughter's in the car, I need to ask her something. What was that we were looking at? And we said, oh my God, the judge, we think the judge.
They had a detective who said that he had evidence of fingerprint cards.
Yeah, okay. So this
where
was...
Kid Cudi had
yes,
listed.
Where there was that Molotov cocktail, which absolutely these idiots did not know how to make one. And I think that's easy to make, but they screwed up. But they've got fingerprints because it didn't go off like it was supposed to. So they had the bottle where that Molotov cocktail, they got fingerprints off that thing. They had it on fingerprint cards. The detective on the Kid Cudi thing turned it in to the LA Police Department. Okay, I'm gonna go back and I'm just gonna say these 4 words. Los Angeles Police Department. They were destroyed really quickly after it was turned in. They were destroyed. They don't destroy that kind of evidence. They keep it, and that it was destroyed makes you wonder. He obviously had somebody in the police department, on his payroll. It's crazy. Okay, Mia also admitted that she was coerced into non-consensual sex acts and enduring harsh work. Okay, I'm gonna get this out in a minute. Harsh work conditions. Freak-offs. She said that she witnessed Combs beating the crap out of Cassie Ventura on multiple occasions, and despite not being charged with trafficking, Mia not being charged, prosecutors allege forced labor. She participated in forced labor as part of Combs' broader racketeering enterprise. Okay, I'm spelling a deal called immunity. I think Mia got an immunity deal saying that if you testified against him and you testified truthfully, then you wouldn't be charged with conspiracy. Come on, you know that's what happened. So defense obviously questioned her credibility, highlighting positive social media stuff that she put on like Instagram and stuff like that about how wonderful he was to work with. Get it? Wouldn't you if you started working for him and you thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then come to find out that he maybe drugged you, got videos and all that stuff. Of course you're gonna put it out there. Plus you get money, gifts, all that crap. You know, for younger people, older people too, but especially for younger people, and they think you're gonna get a career out of this. I can see, especially when you add the drugs to it, how they can get pulled into this. It's cult-like, you know? Anyway, so she responded that she put out these posts because she was under pressure to maintain appearances and that she was worried about retaliation. And I just gotta tell you, look, I don't even have part of this. I've never been to a freak off, nothing, but I'm scared of Diddy. Now, the big one, presidential pardon. Trump commented that he would consider a pardon if he believed there was mistreatment, emphasizing that personal relationships, because you know he had one with him, wouldn't influence his decision. What? Has the rapture happened? I missed it? I wasn't in it? And oh shit, what's gonna happen to me now? How do you pardon this monster? Don't care what you think. I don't care what anything is. What we know, what we've seen, what we can't take back. He can't take back. I mean, Diddy. But let's just go to the video of Cassie. What the hell's blazes? Can you come back and say that he is not anything but a freaking, not freak off, but maybe so monster? This is crazy. He said that he had a personal relationship, but good God almighty, there's a whole lot of celebrities right now saying stuff like, well, I don't know. Which brings me to Suge Knight. Suge Knight did a phone call from prison to CNN. I'm going to point out, Suge Knight, remember the rapper that ran over somebody in a parking lot?
He's not a rapper.
What is he? He was just...
He's like he was the owner of the record company.
Okay.
So you could call him just like a, I don't know, a record company mogul.
Okay.
I don't know. Death Row Records is what they say.
Okay. I want to remind you, Suge Knight, Death Row Records, record company mogul, okay? He ran over a man in a parking lot, owned video, and he's in prison for 28 years. But he's going to vouch for little bitty Diddy. And he came in to say that he thought Diddy should testify on his own defense. Please, God, let it happen, Lord. Just please let it happen. But he said that testifying was going to show the humanity of him. What humanity? He has none. He doesn't have a drop of humanity in him. Look, he's on the level of Ted Bundy, Dahmer. Just to my knowledge, he hasn't eaten one. I mean, you know, like really took a bite, boiled him up, put him in gravy. He hadn't done that stuff, but he's done everything else, including the eating. But I digress. I'm not going to talk about that. This is no human. He is just flat out a monster. But Knight said, while Combs has engaged in some questionable behavior, it does not necessarily make him guilty of the alleged crimes. I can't. I don't. But trial's ongoing. Mia, which is a pseudonym for her, if I didn't say that already, she's going to testify more next week, and just have mercy. We've got to keep up with that one too. It's just so much stuff going on at one time. Okay, now, last thing I'm going to talk about. Todd and Julie Chrisley. I am so wanting to hear what you guys think about that. So, you know, if you don't know, they were stars of this reality TV called Chrisley Knows Best. And I will tell you that it was funny, but it was very scripted. But it was funny in some moments. Todd was a very shrewd businessman, but there has always been comments on the down low about him being shady. I think most really smart businessmen have done some shady stuff. I think that's how you get there. But anyway, they were brought up on charges, multiple federal charges, and were convicted in 22 on, I'm going to look, bank fraud, tax evasion, and obstruction of justice. And their case got a lot of publicity because of who they were. So there's just so much talk. I'm just going to have to read this to you. So let me do that. Chrisleys were found guilty of conspiring to defraud community banks in the Atlanta area out of more than $30 million in personal loans. My God, I struggled to get a $1,000 loan. What? They submitted false bank statements, audit reports, and personal financial statements to obtain these loans, which they used to fund a lavish lifestyle, including luxury cars, designer clothes, real estate, and travel. After depleting the funds, Todd Chrisley filed for bankruptcy, walking away from over $20 million in debt from these fraudulently obtained loans. So he got $30 million and walked away from $20 million. And if you watched his show, you will know where all this comes from, because you just get to see the big houses, the closets full of clothes, how he talks about how he won't wear anything that's not name brand. You see the opulence of his lifestyle. Now we know how he got it. But in addition to bank fraud, they were convicted of tax evasion. They said they failed to file tax returns or pay taxes for several years, despite earning millions from their TV show. They also attempted to obstruct justice. Julie Chrisley submitted a fraudulent document. Why can't I say that word? Fraudulent document to a grand jury to make it appear they had not lied to a bank when transferring ownership of a company's bank account to a relative. Savannah, maybe? I don't know. I'm not accusing. I'm just alleging. Anyway, kind of wonder this. In the middle of their TV show, Savannah was going to go to Tennessee to go to school, and I think she just wanted to get away to have a life of her own. Can't remember if it was the University of Tennessee. Anyway, she got there and loaded the car and moved to Beverly Hills. And I'm just joking. I'm going to take that out, Shannon. That sounded terrible. So all of a sudden, Todd decides the whole family is going to get up and move to Tennessee, sell their house, downsize, and move to Tennessee so they can be closer to Savannah. Methinks me wonder if that was the time that he was filing bankruptcy and wanted to get out of Atlanta into another state to perhaps hide some stuff. I don't know, in the great words of Wendy Williams, allegedly. Okay? Todd's mother, which was called Nanny Faye, which we all love, funny as I don't know what, loved to gamble and drink. We haven't heard anything from her. She's whereabouts unknown. There's been sightings, but nobody can really say where she is. And I think that's a good thing, because she doesn't need, she's old. And I'm talking about, she is up there in age. She doesn't need to be part of this stuff, but they say that she's doing good. Okay, so at sentencing, Todd got 12 years and Julie got 7. And after they got out, they both were going to have to get 3 years of post-supervised. You know, they'll probably go to a halfway house and then they have to report to a parole officer. Then it was said that their former accountant was sentenced to 3 years in prison for his role in the tax evasion scheme. I think he's out of the accounting business for good when he gets out. All right, the controversy. Case sparked controversy in public discourse. I love that word, because it was said that they used their celebrity status to get such a low sentence. And there are people for lesser crimes doing a whole lot more time in prison. So, you know, white male, that's where the rub is. And when Chrisley got out, Todd Chrisley, he did a press conference that he stated that he knows that he got better treatment and he knows that he got a better deal in prison because he was a white male. So he talked about how he saw African Americans being unfairly treated, and Savannah has made a lot of headway into prison reform, and he says he wants to continue that. Hey, I say, I don't care what color you are, I don't know what your circumstances are, I don't care where you come from. Prison reform needs to happen, okay? So if they use their fame and fortune for that, then let's do it. President Trump this week pardoned them, a full pardon, and there's a lot of stuff about that. Savannah worked for the campaign getting President Trump elected, and she admits that she knows that the fame and their, being Caucasian helped her get them pardoned. But she is into prison reform, and she does want, and she's working with Alice, I forgot her last name, Alice Williams. I don't remember. This is the woman that Kim Kardashian helped get out. So there's a whole group in the Innocence Project. I don't know if she's working for them, but it's all the same kind of thing, or working for people who are unfairly sentenced, unfairly convicted, and they're working to try to get something better for them. She also addressed the rumors that she had to give favors to get that pardon. She took a lot of offense to that, which I would too, definitely. And I think you're going to see at least her work hard for prison reform. Okay, guess what? They're coming back. They've got a documentary series that is out chronicling Savannah's journey to get them out, when they got out, stuff that's happening to them since they've got out. And as of the press conference that Todd had yesterday, Julie hasn't come out of her house. And I understand that. But as of the press conference, there was no contract for Julie and Todd. So I don't know what that is, but there is a contract with Chase and with Savannah, the older two of Todd and Julie. Todd has kids from a previous marriage. That's for another time. But they are definitely going to be in this. But I think now you're going to see them get a contract to be added to this documentary. Savannah claimed that the judge who resentenced her mother, because she did get out, she got an appeal for a resentencing and she got out, but they reinstated the whole thing. They kept her at 7 years. They still kept that. And both Todd and Julie did like a 3.5-year term before they were pardoned. But Savannah said that Julie was sentenced as an act of retaliation. She believed that it was in response to Savannah's public criticisms, and stated that the judge's actions were not about the legal process, but influenced by her outspokenness. So that's ongoing. Savannah says she is going to reveal, and as she's criticized it, they are going to reveal the inner workings of the prison and what conditions are like. So I think that that's going to be an interesting documentary. Okay, I've talked for a long time, and what I'm going to tell you is, because this stuff is so fascinating, I'm going to try to update you on that too. So Monday, we start back with Karen Reed, and we start back with Little Diddy. So we'll have a lot more to talk about. If a breaking news, like big one, happens, I'll come in and do a video. But otherwise, I'm going to try to get a couple of days worth and come back and update you. But until then, you can step off the witness stand. I'm Beverly, and I'm on the witness stand.